Welcome to Medically Speaking. This is your host, Akshay, and here we have Dr. Juliet Matthews. Please, Doctor, introduce yourself.
Hello, hi, I'm Dr. Juliet Matthew, and I'm the Director of the Clinical Skills and Simulation Center here in IMU University.
Thank you so much for coming to our podcast. Now, shall we talk?
Sure.
So, I just wanted to ask, I've known you since semester 1, and you've come through a lot in my life, and from personally helping me to helping me in school and a lot of things. And I've gotten to know you a lot in this, I think, 2 years. Yeah, it's been 2 years. And I just wanted to ask you a few things, and I think this is the best place for me to get to know you a little bit more so that people can hear about you as well.
Sure.
Doctor, tell me, how has life been after becoming the director? Because when I met you, you were like a lecturer that you taught me so many classes, and now you are a boss of the whole place.
Yes, I like the sound of that. Yes, I was a lecturer in the Clinical Skills department when we first met. And then subsequently I took over as the Director of Clinical Skills and Simulation Center. So yes, the word boss sounds very bossy, but basically I just oversee a lot of things that runs in the department, which has been running well way before I took over.
Okay.
Right? So I am leading them in a different direction and refining the direction we already have.
Okay.
Right, but to answer your question, it has been a learning curve for me.
Okay.
Right? So it has been good. I mean, it has its days of stress and not knowing what's in store and not knowing how to deal with certain things, because there are very new aspects here that I have to deal with. Administration and
Fair
stuff.
enough.
Yeah. And I come from a background of teaching and learning. So to sum it up, I would say that it has been a learning curve.
Okay. Well,
it's exciting, frightening, but the way I see it, manageable.
Okay, fair enough. That's good to hear. That's very good to hear. But doctor, I do really miss you in classes sometimes, because your lectures were something I was like, wow. Because I think you were the first lecturer to teach me history taking. I think so, yeah. Okay. And I was like, wow, so this is what they do. When I first came into someone, I was like, oh my god, so this is how it works. And I remember when we were still online slightly, we used to have these things called PPD.
Right.
And not many people would open their camera just because, I guess they're shy or maybe some of them are lazy. But you used to call my name out and then you're like, oh, actually, open your camera. And I used to already be ready. So I was like, oh yeah, great. And and now we don't get to see you as much often. And that is there. That's quite a big miss.
Yeah. PPD, actually, you're referring to the professional and personal development classes?
Yes.
Yeah. So that was my way of engaging with students. I mean, I hate to teach online, actually, if you ask me.
Yeah,
the traditional face-to-face way is the best. You look at the students, you see what's their reaction, the body language, the works. So that was actually my way of asking questions to random names online so that, I get to get your attention.
Fair enough. And so doctor, we've come a long way, especially I had quite a bit of a tough time in university, and due to some events, personal and familial and school, and you helped me a lot to come here, and I'm truly very thankful for that. And when we met again in the current place that I'm in right now, you also brought me into the medical camps through MMA. Could you tell me about MMA and the medical camps that you run?
Sure. So helping you out wasn't a big deal. I'm a registered counselor, so I knew how to help you, be an advocate for that. So that wasn't a big deal. But coming to MMA, I'm currently the chairman of MMA Selangor, Malaysian Medical Association, the Selangor branch.
Oh, wonderful.
So this MMA is all about, we are a unified voice for the profession, for the health community, as well as the public.
Okay.
Right? So what we do in these medical camps is we go out there to the community that's not easily reached out within the usual forms of healthcare advocacy, and we try to do what we can for them. So the Orang Asli folks, they are one of them. I remember we had to go through all this.
Yes, it felt like I was back in Sabah.
Yeah, to reach them. And then we do our best. We do a medical screening, and then we see what they would need, and then we do the necessary. We come back and report to the necessary departments, hygiene, public health, public works, and see how they can help these folks further.
Okay.
So bringing the medical student in was amazing because we get them to be exposed to all this, know what's out there besides just the four walls of learning within the university.
Yeah. I had a wonderful experience in the camp because like the first time I went there was like, so some of the doctors, like the student doctors, come there, right? The people who are still waiting for their license, for their plabs and AMC and all that. And then they come with our camps and they they do their things. I was under a few of them for the first time. And then so I'm on to my third camp now. I felt very good of coming there and doing what I was, meant to do, even though I'm not essentially qualified yet. And it was wonderful because the people who were in charge of me had so much faith in me that they allowed me to do the things without them holding my hand or anything. They were like, hey, do BP, do this, do that. What do you think this is? Can you diagnose this? And that actually puts you in a situation where you're like, oh my god, I have to use things that I've learned now. So that was really exciting and I enjoyed it. And I think the last our last camp was focused for children, and I was like, oh my god, they were so adorable, but also we got to see how their lives were very different compared to something that we might be used to here. It makes you, I don't know if this is wrong of me to say, but it makes you appreciate life a bit more.
Yes.
And then it was great that we were able to help them and to put a smile, and they were so excited even when the balloons came.
So you have to look at it from different aspects. It's not just a smile and the balloons that we had there, but it's actually getting into education, not just for them but for our students as well. So you learn at ground level that these are the different communities, different cultures, the language barrier, the difficult patients, which we teach you. But when you experience that, the smiles just become an added bonus.
Yes, that's true. Doctor, I wanted to ask you, this MMA, now that we've spoken and gotten into it, can you tell me how it can help the students here in IVF?
Yeah. So, when you become a SMEMS, is that Society for Medical Students under MMA. So, when you join SMEMS, you become part of the bigger voice.
Okay.
That's advocating for the profession, for the public, as well as for the community, right? And the healthcare professionals. So what we do is the students are involved in a lot of things that we do. The camp is one very small part of it. Okay. We are also affiliated to the International Federation of Medical Students Association. So under this association, there's subsets of learning about medical education, professional exchange, research, even sexual and reproductive health and rights, including for HIV and AIDS. So we get these students to go for all these conferences.
Okay.
They are exposed to things not just in Malaysia but outside of Malaysia. And then we also slowly teach them about leadership, teamwork, and more. So we are
great.
sort of grooming them
Thank you.
as future leaders.
Thank you.
In Malaysia.
Thank you so much. I hope I've done good under your guidance. I just so on a little bit of a less serious note, I've also heard that you have 2 dogs.
Oh yes.
Yes. So I would like to know about them because I have your WhatsApp number, right? And then I always see your little 2 dogs getting posted on your stories. So could you tell us a little bit of them?
They are my therapy.
I see, okay.
So, you just go home to the both of them and everything else stands still,
Okay.
They are the King Charles variants, King Charles puppies, and it's Caesar and Cleo.
Okay.
So when I go home, Basically, that's what I do. I just throw my bag and go and sit on the couch with them. That's it. They're my therapy.
That's wonderful to hear.
Babies.
That's
Yes.
wonderful to hear. And I relate to this highly because I have a dog as well. Her name is Lulu, and she's massive. Like she's massive. I don't know how.
Yeah.
Like when she came home, she was like 3 months old, and she could fit into my palm.
Right.
And now she's like half of my height, and that's just crazy.
Yeah.
And
Can't live without them.
yes, I agree. Doctor, so like I said again, like I've known you for some time now, and you mentioned earlier as well that you're not just a clinician but like a medical psychologist, and that's wonderful. That's quite a lot. May I ask how and what was your journey going into this? Like when did you decide? How did you go about this?
It's funny because my husband calls it midlife.
Okay. Okay.
But as a psychologist also I can explain that you come to a time in your lifespan where you start questioning yourself. What am I doing here? What is this about? Is this it? And at that time my husband and I, we had a fairly good private practice.
Okay.
But there was a need to do more, right? So the one with the midlife crisis decided we have to do more with myself, and certain personal experiences brought us to the world of counselors and how they help, right? So there at the age of 40, I decided to sign up to do my master's in counseling in University Malaya.
Okay.
Yeah. The rest is history. It's the best decision I made in my life.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
So that was a good calling, and then from there I went on to practice as a counselor in hospice, Malaysia.
Okay. Yeah.
Trained by them, and then ultimately ended up in hospice Akshay. So we go to dying people's homes and we serve them. Right? We not just take care of their pain and ailments under the palliative section, but I, as the counselor, was counseling them, the family members, and aiding, I call it aiding, but making that journey smoother, the afterlife, going to the other side, which we all don't know about, right? Yeah. So that was so good and so rewarding that I went totally into it, and that's how now I'm a grief counselor here in IMU. Okay. So I teach the master students here the whole module of grief and bereavement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doctor, we've all been through grief in our life.
That's right. Yeah.
If you haven't yet, that's good. But can I ask, this is from a personal note, if I was in that situation, I assume, well, I'm not sure yet, but I would assume that it would take a toll on me as well. So how did you deal with that?
So you're trained actually in along in the master's program how to deal. It's called coping, self-care and all that. But saying that, it's not something everyone can do.
Okay.
Right? So you need to know where to cross the line and say, this is it. Or you need to know how not to sponge it. Being human beings, there will be times when you will sponge it and take it in. But the beauty of it is this. I feel I'm blessed with that gift, that I can help them do this without it taking a toll on me. So to whoever asked me this question, I'll ask them back, do I look like someone who's suffering?
Fair enough. I can say no now.
In fact, I've learned to value life and living a little bit more after doing this.
Yeah. I think you helped me a little bit on that as well. It made me value a lot of things throughout this 2 years that I've known you. So how did you go there to IMU?
So when I was in Kasai Hospice, besides going to the patients' houses, the and dealing with them, I was also training the nurses and staff there how to communicate with the patients. That's a very important field because it's very unique and what you say matters a lot at that time. So I was training them and I thought, I'm enjoying this.
Okay.
When you're training and then you're doing research and you're attending mini conferences on how you want to improve yourself in the field, then I realized, hey, I should do this on a larger scale.
Fair enough.
So then I started looking at where I could come and do this, and that's where IMU came into the picture.
Okay. So do you miss the hospital now?
Not really.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, as a houseman, medical officer, I've had my fair share of, everything in the hospital. I was posted in Sabah.
Oh, really? Yes, you've told me this before,
Sabah as a houseman.
Okay.
And it's different from here because there you're left alone to do everything. You're handling resuscitation of neonates and, you're doing your cesareans in the first year itself. So I've done all that. And coming back now, I'm glad where I am.
Okay.
And also my husband still runs a 24-hour clinic.
Okay.
I don't enjoy sitting there. So
oh no, okay.
So if that answers your question about missing clinical side, I think I love teaching.
Okay, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And like I remember you telling me that you've been to Sabah because you asked me like, do you know these people? And I was like, oh yeah, I know them very well. Yeah. Yeah. And like, do you miss Sabah?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Sabah is a beautiful place to be in. I love the people.
Yes.
Growing as a young doctor was fantastic.
Yes, I think Sabah is a heaven in this part of the world.
And I think that's why to a certain extent I cannot understand housemanship and the problems they go through. Because I've had my share of I don't call it bullying, but stress in housemanship. But Sabah was a beautiful ground to learn.
Yes, it is. So I've heard.
With the fair share of stress and such. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Doctor, like, with all these great stories, like, at the end of the day, like, I met you as a teacher, and I've learned actually, my first history taking was with you, and I wanted to ask, now that I am on my 4th semester, I wanted to come back and ask you, what would you advise students on their history taking, both for the newcomers, like who are probably entering Sem 1, or even people who are about to finish medical school? Yeah.
It's the same mantra I keep telling them. I mean, you've gone to semester 4, so you don't get to hear that from me again.
Yes.
But again, I took a semester 2 class just this morning. It's the same mantra I'm telling them. Please do not memorize this as a task. Build rapport with your patient. Yeah. That is the ultimate. It is all about patient care. But what I hear always is, history taking, we have to do this, then we have to ask that, then we have to ask this. And then at the end, it's that standard, I will pass this all to my consultant.
Yes.
It's also rehearsed like a robot. Yeah. So what I tell them is always build your rapport with the patient. That's the most important thing. And then the language varies. We give you a structure to follow because there's other things that's important. But you don't have to rehearse and vomit it out.
That is true. Yes. I think that's one of the things that I was so foreign to. Because I was like, because when I came in, I did not. Also, because I was mostly lazy at certain times that I did not like practice the script. I would just come in and talk. So that kind of helped me in CSD a lot, rather than like my shortcomings in theory. But like I did very well for that, and I think I agree with you
because ultimately when you go out in the world, it doesn't matter if you were a distinction student or you were in this list. It's how you're going to build your rapport with the patient.
Fair enough.
How much that patient is going to trust you, not just with what you say, your body language, your focus, everything. You have to win that patient, and not because they're going to give you $1 million after that. Yeah. You're going to help that patient's life better, you see?
I hope that with what you say, like I hope that not just me, but a lot of us become very good doctors and service oriented and wanting to take care of the patient rather than anything else.
Yeah.
And doctor, I also know that you're very much into the concept of resilience and
yes.
a person being resilient. So can you tell us a bit more about that and how to, make yourself better, or on what to do actually, essentially, as like a 20-year-old going into life?
Yeah. There's no one shoe that fits all here for being resilient, right? I like to use this thing that I made for this quotes that one I made and the other one was there for the semester 2 workshop that I created, that module, resilient workshop. It was bend but do not break.
Yeah.
The second one for the semester 4, that was mine. I said be mad, and MAD, mad means manage adversities delightfully.
Okay.
Treat it like, it's something that we can manage.
Yeah.
Right? So within these 2 workshops, we're already teaching students, these are problems almost everybody faces, right? And how you want to cope with it. But in answering your question, again, no same shoe fits everyone. So you have to understand someone's personality, where they're coming from, a little bit maybe about their conditioning, before you can advise how to do that coping in that particular situation.
Okay.
Right? So resilient can be built, can be taught, but a lot of self-regulation comes in the picture as well.
Okay.
Right? And that self-regulation is influenced by the conditioning.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you do agree that resilience is something that can be learned rather than like an inborn thing, or do you think that you need some insight to start with?
Definitely. That's why we help those workshops, because we can teach them some standard coping mechanisms, what to do. For example, if you're in a situational distress, I call it, get away from that spot, go to a neutral place, or call up a friend. There's so many pathways to, cope in that situation. Yeah. Right? This, we call it the mental health workshop now in semester 4. We also tell them that depression and I am suicidal are words that are loosely used nowadays.
Yes. It's
having a mental health problem is becoming fashionable nowadays.
Yeah.
So we're highlighting that, and we're teaching them the difference between situational distresses, which is not an abnormal pathological condition.
Yes, it is.
In comparison to major depression and such, right? So we're teaching them how to deal with this at the root levels, right? For starters, my advice for everyone would be to seek help. Get a friend, talk about it.
Fair enough. Yes, that's honestly, that's one of the best things that you can do, and I'm sure all of us have been there. Doctor, you mentioned that it's now fashionable. What do you think about that?
Yeah, because it's like a fad, or I'm having mental health problems.
Yeah,
it's becoming a fad, and in that field now, I'm seeing more and more parents bringing adolescents or students and saying, no, she's undergoing mental health problems. And then when you sit down and have that conversation, you realize, hey, okay, this is this. You just need some help to cope with this.
Yeah.
Right?
I can see it in that. A lot of people.
Yeah. And I deal with a lot of students. I give talks sometimes. And I find that, hey, mental health problems. We have mental health issues. It's becoming an acceptable thing. It's good that people talk about it, but to assume that it's all right to have it, that's what worries me.
I see. And what would you say, like, as an outside person, like, for example, if person A is saying such things, and then what would you advise for person B?
Yeah, don't take it personally. This is my mantra for myself. What others think of me is none of my business.
Fantastic. Yes, I agree with that 101%.
Yeah, I can just imagine if I had to sit with 10 people today and what 10 different opinions I will hear about me. And that's really none of my business.
Yeah.
I like who I am.
Same. Very much actually. Same.
Yeah. So I'm just going to listen to that inner voice of mine. And of course, my loved ones, if they think that I'm a bit harsh, I will take that into consideration.
Fair enough, doctor. Yeah. And I think people should just like love themselves.
It's not so easy.
Yeah, it's not so easy. I agree with that.
Easy. You've got a bad day, you tend to doubt yourself. That arises
we've all been
often.
there.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, again, self-regulation, that confidence, patting yourself on the back and saying, you did what you could. It's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can't please everybody. Yeah.
Learned that the very hard way. Yes, I agree. So I think that brings us to the end of our little podcast here for today. And I just wanted to ask before we end this, is there anything you would like to tell to everyone that is going to be hearing this in about a week?
Right, and our target is medical students?
Anyone, essentially. Anyone. Anyone could hear this.
That's then the famous Dr. Seuss. Be youer than you. That's it. Right?
Fair enough.
And be fair to yourself.
Alright, Doctor. Thank you so much for coming here and being a part of this podcast. And I very much appreciate for what you've done, both for myself and for agreeing to be here on such a short notice.
Sure. I hope I've made a difference or inspired you in any way that's possible, if necessary. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Juliet. And this is Akshay signing off for now. See you again.